Hello, welcome to my first episode to the show Rant. It's another type of show where I like to talk about things that I find a huge interest in. You might remember the last one I did where I talked about the first Sonic design years ago. That was not me. I don't know who that was. That's some kind of imposter. But you know what? I decided to keep it up just so, for safekeepings, I guess. There was already one time where I deleted a bunch of my old videos and I wish I didn't. So, anyway, I'm trying to make it a thing where it's like this show is like doesn't have to do as much editing as for something like Professional Normie, just because like editing sucks, and I want this to be like an easy to do video series where if I could just talk about whatever I want. Oh, and let me say this first and foremost. This is a spoiler review of the movie. This is my honest thoughts of it. This is me recounting the whole thing and just like talking about what I think about it. If you agree or disagree, feel free to start a conversation in the comments. I'll be there to reply to some of them. Like, I kind of want it to be some kind of a pseudo podcast type video where it's like it's something you could throw on in the background and to just like, if you can't find something to watch or you just need something playing in the background. But today we're going to be talking about the second Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I just got back from the theater watching it with my friends, and oh my god, I have thoughts. Now, if you have seen my original video from Professional Normie talking about it, you would know I think the first movie makes for a great movie just for like the fans, but also I made a big argument about how normal people have enjoyed that movie as well, and it's just as much a good movie for those people as it is for the fans. I don't know if that kind of argument can be made for this movie. A lot of the elements put into this movie are something that not every person going into it is going to understand. Starting off, we get a little bit more information about who Vanessa was and what she went through during her childhood with Afton. I still feel like we're not really getting enough information about her, Like, we get to see like some flashbacks through her eyes where she does the whole like dream walking sequence, like how Mike did in the first movie to find his younger brother. But in this movie, she uses it as a way to properly cope what her father did to her. But at the same time, it's still kind of left rather ambiguous as to what exactly he did. Like, there was a scene where she was being chased by him. The door is locked, so she's being trapped inside of her own home by her father. That's interesting. Why is she, like, keeping her locked in there? And in this memory, he keeps talking about, like, how she's, like, a big deal, how much he loves her. Like, kind of your stereotypical, like, manipulation tactics. You know how much you mean to me. You know how much I love you. You know how much I care about you. How much I need you. How important you are. And it's just like, yeah, like what does he need her for? What exactly is going on? She was still a kid in this memory. Like, she appears as an adult first, but then turns into like back to her like kid self in this memory. So what was she doing? We get a scene of her like finding out about a baby is in this movie. The animatronic baby is in the movie. There's like a clip where she is like looking straight at her, like her eyes glow up and everything, and she like looks at her like menacingly in Afton's mini workshop in his house. Also, notice how in this scene her eyes are glowing green. This is canonical to the games, except in the original she kills Afton's daughter, and that's when her eyes start changing. So what does this imply? I don't know. The movie is an hour and a half long. Yeah, we still don't. I still don't fully understand what exactly happened to make her like so messed up. Like, and there was also like this one moment in the film where she's like at a gym, and she keeps seeing like hallucinations of Afton in the like Springtrap costume. I hate the name Spring Bonnie. Everybody calls him Spring Bonnie before like all the withering and shit. I hate that name. I think that's a really dumb name for the character. I really like the Yellow Rabbit more, but clearly that's just a title rather than a name. So while I like it more, it's still not an official name, you know? So I always just imagined that character was also named Bonnie, like how Matt Pat talked about in his timeline video. But yeah, so she keeps having hallucinations about him and having these like bad dreams about him. She pulls a gun on this one guy who like tries to check on her, thinking like it was him, and that was pretty fucked up. Another thing too is that Mike apparently doesn't trust Vanessa anymore. Like near the end of the movie, he's just like, "Stay away from us. We can't trust you." And it's like, what did she do? She was a victim of her father for something he did. That's still left pretty ambiguous. Like at the beginning, like Mike is trying to like help her out with her dreams, and then like later on says some shit like, "I wanted to try to help you, to fix you, to help you get past all this, so that we don't have to keep talking about Freddy and have to keep like being burdened with the trauma and like the horror of it, you know." And she takes offense to that, which I probably would be too if I was just going on dates with people and it turned out my partner was trying to fix me. Not really good wording on Mike's part. Later on, they go to the pizzeria, the old one, which, yeah, that's something they do in the movie too. They make it official that the FNaF 2 location is supposed to be the original location before Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, the new one from the first game. And I actually think that's a good thing. Because it feels like a really interesting trend for certain locations to have the original location. Like, I think the first ever McDonald's is still around somewhere, but I could be wrong. But everything else is just like being rented off by people in every state, every country, to like have their own McDonald's and all that. That's the kind of vibe I got from it when they said like the FNaF 1 location is a franchise location, which just means like it's a slightly smaller, less technologically advanced like animatronics, kind of like a Chuck E. Cheese in a way. Like there's some Chuck E. Cheeses that have like higher maintenance standards and like higher like upgraded technology compared to like some of the other ones where all the animatronics just look fucking weird. The actual animatronics in the movie are not that bad. I found it fascinating how much like more screen time we get of these animatronics and seeing them actually in action. Like in the original, it was just kind of an off-screen thing where like they kill somebody off-screen and then you just get like the remnants of what they did before. However, when it comes to the actual kills, it's kind of odd because the only one I really saw catch a body was Toy Chica, and there's a big emphasis on her in the movie for some reason. Like all the other animatronics are kind of just like footnotes in a way. Like Abby really likes Chica. Like none of the other animatronics really get that much in the spotlight. There's a funny moment in there with Toy Freddy where he's like met up with these kids, and they're all like, "Dude, your costume is amazing. You're gonna be #1 at the costume festival." And then they like asked him, "Do you want to join in the competition?" And they're like, and he's like the animatronics actually speak this time, and Freddy just goes like, "I would love to. I just have to go deal with these adults right now and go kill them." Like I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he said, and the kids just stand there like, wicked. Like, you know, like what? You just heard this robot say like, "I'm gonna go kill these adults," and you're just like, "Alright, cool." Like, oh, he's still so cool. Come on, man. What's another thing? Oh yeah, there's 2 Michaels. Like, there's Mike Schmidt, who is widely believed in the in the games, to be like actually Michael Afton, the son of William. They kind of switched that role for the movie to be Vanessa in a way. But now in the movie franchise, Michael Afton and Michael Schmidt are 2 completely different people. Like Michael Afton is a bad guy in this movie, when it's mostly theorized and pretty much explained in Sister Location that Michael Afton is actually the protagonist, who we've been following since the first game, as far as I'm aware. I've been keeping up a lot with the FNaF lore as much as I could. like I said, I watched all of Matt Pat's like timeline videos. I don't keep up with much of the news stuff, like the anything past Security Breach, like the Mimic. I'm kind of fuzzy on. Like I still follow those games, but I'm still kind of fuzzy on the idea. Like the Mimic's fucking weird. I haven't even played the game yet, but the Mimic's such an oddity in the franchise. The Mimic in himself is just a very strange thing. Like he existed way before any of the main cast of characters, like Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, Fredbear, Spring Bonnie. He existed way before that. This advanced technology where he copies people's actions and attitudes existed way before like any of these guys, which is like, that's just nuts. Like, and I hear it's a great game, like storytelling wise, because it's the most like straightforward story we have in the franchise, and it's not just hinted to you through like arcades and like voice messages and all that. So yeah, that threw me through a loop. The fact that Michael Afton and Michael Schmidt are two completely different people, yeah, that's fucking nuts. And like in the movie, he wants to like uphold his father's legacy, which is just like, why would you want that? I don't know. And here's the thing, Michael Afton in the games is a fascinating character in the fact that, like, you know, he's kind of the one that started the whole trend of like liabilities at Freddys, because he's the one who placed his younger brother, who I'm just gonna call Evan, but because of Secret of the Mimic it might be something else, I don't know. Again, it's fucking weird. I'd rather call him Evan because that's what I've been like going with for years at this point. And then like he goes through each game like under a different name, assumingly. I feel like the FNaF 2 game is really just Jeremy, personally, because it's like it happens before anything else, you know? So, and what's interesting too, I just replayed FNaF 2 recently in a stream I did recently. I beat all 5 nights. I haven't beat the 6th night yet. One of the phone calls I remember mentioned like, oh, somebody like took one of the yellow spring lock suits from the back, and now none of the animatronics are acting right. They kind of play on that idea in this movie, because in the beginning, Charlotte or Charlie actually like gets killed by William. Not like in the game, but you know, still happens. But once she like dies on stage, she possesses the puppet, and that's when like Freddy's like gets investigated and you know, gets shut down eventually, and then that's when the FNaF 1 location comes in and opens up, calling itself the franchise location, which I'm guessing is just a cheaper extension of that original. Crazy to think that to call it like a franchise location in the first place, because I feel like that would indicate that there's more locations out there, like perhaps a sister location. I'm joking. We do get to see Circus Baby, but I don't know how much of an impact she's gonna have. With the amount of things they set up in this movie, could set up for a long run of movies just as much as there is video games and books. But I remember hearing a rumor once saying like there's only supposed to be like 3 movies. So, how exactly Circus Baby is going to play a role with it in the next movie, if she even will? Because again, like, Circus Baby was just kind of thrown in there as like another Easter egg for the... But except she's not really even an Easter egg, because she interacts with Vanessa in a small way, but seemed to be very significant. She had more focus on him than Sparky, like the Easter egg from the last movie. Same with Shadow Freddy, that little Easter egg. Yeah, and it's just like, well, how much are they trying to set up before this like movie franchise is over? Like, is Michael gonna release Circus Baby onto like our heroes in the next movie? Or we definitely are getting Springtrap in the next one, because that's what they like talked about near the end of the movie, where these like group of people like come into Freddys, the FNaF 1 location, and they try to steal as much as they can to sort of like bring back Freddys in a way. Which is an odd thing too, because they also just had a Fazbear Festival in the movie, which is just like a mini like reawakening or reintroduction to the Fazbear franchise, I guess, because everybody that was all dressed up in the characters, like everybody was all like dressed up and everything, and so they know about Freddy's, right? And they know like all the crazy shit that went down there, but they're still celebrating the franchise as if nothing is wrong, which sounds about right, especially for that time period, because the movies take place in the 2000s, and I'm assuming this movie like takes place like 2 years after the first movie, maybe more, or no, maybe less, maybe, because I'm going based off like the actual release date. 2023, the movie took place in 2000. 2 years later, 2025, this movie is likely taking place in 2002. And plus, Abby is much older now. And, yeah, it looks like Mike is also getting back on his feet as well. I don't know if he actually found a job in that meantime, because now he's actually able to go to, like, fancy restaurants and all that. There was this funny gag in the restaurant where, like, the waiters, like, took this small knife, and he, like, scooped the crumbs into his hand and threw them away. And they did it twice, and I was like, okay, they're that weird. But, I feel like one of those waiters was somebody famous or some kind of YouTuber. I feel like, because I know he looked familiar, and there's no way they threw in that kind of joke if, like, there wasn't some kind of hidden reason behind it, or if that guy, the waiter, was somebody the fans were supposed to know. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know why I was hyperfixated on that. But, and then, what else? Oh yeah, the toy animatronics. The only one we see, like, catch a body was Toy Chica, who was played by Megan Fox, which, like everybody else, I was kind of skeptical about it, but because of her role in Mortal Kombat 1, her voicing Natara, that was pretty crazy. Not her brightest moment, but I think her performance here was better than most Michael Bay productions she's been a part of, so whatever that means. But she has about the voice I would expect from Toy Chica, so no, I like it. I thought she did better here. And then Matt Pat voiced Toy Bonnie, but if you were to watch the movie and you didn't know that, I don't think you would have been able to tell if he did, because he was obviously putting on some kind of voice with like a robotic filter over it, so it's really hard to tell that it's him.
I'm Debbie. What's your name? My name is Bonnie. Can we be friends, Debbie?
And he only has like a couple lines, which is interesting. A lot, even though the animatronics talk now, Toy Chica gets the most lines, and Freddy and Bonnie only get like 1 or 2 throughout the whole movie, which is, I mean, if you're gonna give us Matt Pat voicing Toy Bonnie, I feel like we wanted to see a lot more of that, you know? And then Kellen Goff plays Toy Freddy, who also voiced Glamrock Freddy, who also voiced Funtime Freddy. He has a bias towards Freddy. But I personally knew him because of Overhaul from My Hero Academia, so. The withered animatronics are interesting because in the game franchise, we don't exactly know what they are or where they came from. All we know is they were some like older models from a previous location. Sorry, I'm still getting over a like sore throat, so I don't know why I like to do that. I like to do like little water drinking ASMRs. Anyway, the withered animatronics are interesting because they introduce them in the movie as these like prototypes for, I'm assuming, the toy animatronics, because they have the same kind of advanced technology as the toy animatronic. Except what's interesting is they implemented the mask mechanic from FNaF 2, and they're able to identify whether or not the person in front of him is a human or not. Because he had a Freddy head right next to him, he was safe, except for Foxy, like in the game. But what's also weird too is, like, there was a moment where, like, Michael was scrolling through on this computer, actually for transparency's sake, because there's two Michaels. Whenever I say Mike, I'm referring to our main character, Mike Schmidt. Michael is Michael Afton, so I'll just say Mike for Josh Hutcherson. But Mike was like scrolling on this computer trying to find like a hard reset button for like all the animatronics, and like Foxy is right there, right in front of him. He is there, like he can just kill him right there, but he doesn't, and he like takes his sweet ass time. Mike never figures out like the flashlight mechanic with him, because he ends up like shutting down all these animatronics with like a button on the computer. He didn't have a taser in this movie, and I thought that's how they were going to show they were like much tougher than the original, because it's like, okay, the original can be taken out by a taser, no problem. But what if these like new ones couldn't, because there's like a harder shell, and therefore like the current couldn't like travel through that, you know? But they don't have tasers, and they don't flash Foxy. But there was a moment where like Balloon Boy showed up, and Mike just straight up ripped his head off. Like he had enough of his laughter, because that was like what Balloon Boy kept doing in the movie, was just going like he kept doing like the hi ha 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 ha, like the laughing and stuff. But Mike pretty much had enough of that shit, and he straight up got up, twisted his neck, and tore his head off and threw it. And I'm just like, I pretty much had a standing ovation in the theater. I was like, God, thank God, he's finally dead. I hated that guy. I hated Balloon Boy. He was my biggest hurdle throughout like the last few nights of FNaF. Him and the Withers were like the biggest pain in the asses in that game. The Withers don't do a lot, sadly, and they look cool. They like, there was the one scene where like Freddy had a like weird posture where his neck was forward like this, and the animatronics are huge. The Withers are genuinely like giants in this movie, probably bigger than the FNaF 1 characters. Even though they're like really cool looking and they actually have a chance to shine, they don't get to do much. We see Withered Bonnie show up for 1 second, but then literally all Mike did was just press the vent thing on him, and he just can't move anymore. Like, he busted it open once, but once he got it closed up, it was like, okay, I give up. And so, like, Withered Chica shows up, like, she gets tricked by the mask. And in the meantime, like, Withered Freddy was, like, hanging out in the front of the office, like, the little, like, opening in the front. And, like, he just stands there. Kind of like the game, but he just stands there. This is not a game. This is like supposed to be real life. Why would he just stand there? Like, they're there to take care of a threat in their pizzeria. So like, why are they just standing there? Why doesn't Bonnie just try again with the vent, you know? They seem less like threats and more just like really bad programming, which I guess could like make sense considering the fact that they're supposed to be broken. But like, I don't know. I kind of expected a little more from them. And also the toy animatronics. They're kind of made out to be pussies by the end of the movie, because they all get taken out with the help of the actual original cast of characters, like Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. They all get taken care of by the FNaF 1 animatronics. Which sounds like utter bullshit, honestly. Because I always believed that the toy animatronics were supposed to be like these like upgraded versions of the characters. Like, these tougher plastic shells around them are meant to be like make them tougher, you know? But like, Foxy takes out Toy Bonnie with his hook. Freddy himself like tore apart like Toy Freddy by the waist, like Megatron style. And then like Chica takes out Toy Chica, and it's just like, I don't believe it would be that easy for them. And then Bonnie like tears apart Mangle and actually destroys them. But before that, the toy animatronics did seem like a big threat. Like Toy Chica was on that shit though. And then like Toy Bonnie broke into this house, made friends with this kid, and tried to like off her mom. But like if Mike or Vanessa didn't intervene, they would have gotten their way. So they're a much big. I do believe them to be a much bigger threat here than in the original. It's just, I don't know. They don't have as big of a body count as they did in the original. Like the originals, like they were catching bodies left and right. But here, Toy Chica kills one person. Like Bonnie almost kills a mom. Toy Freddy would have killed this couple if Vanessa didn't intervene. So they're kind of just being cock-blocked by getting more kills in. They were getting cock-blocked from not getting any more kills in. So, yeah, I don't know. And I still find it bullshit that, like, the originals could destroy them, like, no problem. That did not make sense at all. But yeah, what else? I guess I could talk about the puppet. The puppet is interesting, the marionette, because she was made out to be a big deal in the trailers and promotion and all that. So how do I actually feel about her? She's cool. She has a lot more powers here than she did in the original. Like, when the puppet possesses somebody, that person turns into the puppet. Like, no joke. Like, even Abby gets possessed by the puppet, who was trapped inside of Toy Chica at one point, and, like took control of Abby, which is just insane. And also, Abby keeps thinking that, like, her friends need her help, and that, like, Toy Chica was the original as she met, even though it's technically, like, the puppet controlling her. Which, by the way, the puppet, like, controlling normal people, I don't really get. Like, controlling the others, sure. I never really understood why she had that kind of power, or like what really made her so different from the other victims, but that's how it was. And in this movie, she definitely has a lot more power compared to her game counterpart. Like, not only can she like control the toy animatronics, she can also control like normal people, and that's just like, how can she do that? It doesn't make much sense. So, like, the only thing I can really think of is that it has to be something from the books, right? Because I'm really thinking back, and I'm just thinking, like, well, what has the puppet done to really show, like, they had this much power to the point that they can possess normal people? Because it's usually the other way around. It's people possessing the robots, either being killed near them or being stuffed inside them, and which forms, like, turns their, like, metal into remnant or agony or whatever it's called, making them, like, possessed robots with their souls, like, trapped inside them. What's weird here as well is when the FNaF 1 animatronics show up, they, like, take out all the toy animatronics, all is well. Michael Apton gets foiled by Jeremiah from the first movie. You remember him? But when the day is saved, they all, like, shut down because they can't last that long outside the pizzeria. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened, because it's like the ending was such a blur that, like, I don't know. I don't even know how to properly, like, explain what happened, because it's like it all happened so fast, you know. So the originals kill the toys. The original animatronics, like, lose their power, like, lose power. But before they do, like, the spirit of Golden Freddy shows back up again, Cassidy. And he explains, like, their souls are, like, passing on to the afterlife, possibly heaven, because of something he said to Abby. Like, then he just moves on, I guess. Because one moment he, like, says, we're all about to move on to the afterlife. Thank you for being our friend, Abby, whatever. And then they just disappear. And the animatronics are just shut down. So, but that feels so weird, because I feel like they should have already been like long gone after the first movie, you know? Like, I just feel like they should have already like passed on, you know? Except Cassidy, because Cassidy is supposed to be like the one that was mainly in control of these first set of animatronics, given the fact that, like, I like to assume it's because he's older than the rest of the little kids that were killed, because it's kind of, Charlie and Cassidy have a lot in common in the sense that, like, they have a lot more control over, like, their environment and, like, the other kids as well, the other animatronics. Like, they can pseudo, like, for Charlie, it's a definite that she can control them. But Golden Freddy, he might not have full control, but he's still, like, more self-aware than any of these other kids. So he knows what he's doing. He just sometimes does it for the wrong reasons, like abducting Abby. But then, like, near the end, he's, like, the end of the first movie, he's, like, watching, like, William die in the suit, like, just closes the door on him. So I feel like that should have been an indication that all the animatronics, like, finally moved on, and, like, that's why Mike didn't want to go back to the pizzeria, because we couldn't, like, they weren't there. Like, all the animatronics were gone throughout most of the movie. Once this movie, like, started, it was made clear, like, the animatronics aren't here. But then, like, later on in the movie, Mike goes back and he's like, okay, we need your guys' help. If you really do care about Abby, you would do this for us. I don't know where you guys are. Hopefully your spirits are still around. And, like, just prays for the best, I guess. But, like, where did they go? Where did the animatronics go? I thought they were going to use the excuse that the Wizards were those animatronics, but that still wouldn't have made sense, because they still went with the original designs, which look nothing like the FNaF 1 animatronics. And I don't really have a theory as to where they went, because there's just no reason for them to have gone much, like, anywhere else, you know? Like, maybe they were hiding in, like, different rooms or something. Like, maybe Foxy was, like, still in his cove, or I doubt it, because all the curtains were open and none of them were there. Abby already tried going back there, like, several times to, like, try and, like, fix them, and just, like, just to try to find out if they're actually there. But them showing up later and just being like, we're finally gonna move on now to the afterlife, now that, like, Michael Afton has been thwarted and the toys are destroyed. The puppet is not very much destroyed, but that's not really his problem, I guess. Like, they don't care much about Charlie, so they're just gonna move on from that and just, like, leave the rest to our human friends. Like, okay, sure, you're gonna move on now. You apparently have the strength to rip apart, like, your older counterparts, and now you're just gonna leave. Okay, it sounds good. You guys have fun in heaven or whatever. I don't know. I'm saying all this, and it's like, I don't hate this movie. I think it's a very ambitious project. Probably the most ambitious, like, with the franchise that Scott has done. And it was probably a big risk on Blumhouse as well, because not only is it taking a lot from the games and possibly the books now, it just seems like they're really throwing a lot at us in this one. New information, new innovations, like giving the puppet more powers, like possessing normal people, and those normal people become her, you know? So it's a creepy, really cool thing to do, but at the same time, like, what sense does this make? Like, not only is it weird for us fans to see this and be like, well, when can the puppet, like, do that? But it also just wouldn't really make sense to the audience as well, I don't think. Like, I don't know how the audience can really, like, piece together the fact that this random puppet can now, like, not just possessed by a little kid, but it can also possess, like, normal people as well. I don't know. I don't get it. But, yeah, no, I don't hate this movie. I don't even dislike it. I actually really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. Me and my friends, when we went to go see it, it was a genuine, like, brain teaser, and, like, really just something we tried to, like, figure out together, and just be like put our heads together and really figure out, like, what was going on. Which I guess is the most fun part of FNaF, is just to, like, figure it out ourselves. I don't know. There's only so much you can really keep up with that. like letting the audience like figure out your work instead of just straight up telling us. Because you can straight up tell us and still make plenty of sequels, Scott. I know you struggled with that in the past, but you don't have to keep doing it. Like, come on, man. But yeah, so I'm trying to think, what else do I want to talk about? Henry is in the movie. He's played by Skeet Ulrich, who was the co-star with Matthew Lillard in the first Scream movie. They both played Ghostface. So him being like Henry Emily and like William's partner in the movie as well is a great I think it's a cool thing as well. But he shows up for one scene where he like meets up with Mike and like explains the whole deal. When all the action is going on, he's nowhere to be seen. Like, Mike says his sister might be at the old location, and Henry just says, well, here, give this music box, like, play this music box for Charlotte, because she falls asleep to that sound, and she will be incapacitated for a while, as long as that music box keeps playing. Which is definitely a thing from the game. Like, that's a main game mechanic to keep the puppet asleep. And I guess that was integrated fine into the movie to, like, explain, like, the game mechanic and how it works. But, like, Charlotte in the movie doesn't seem like much of a, like, little kid. She's still a kid, but more like the kind of kid that can still think and, like, can work by herself, you know? So it's just, like, the fact that she can fall asleep to a music box like she is a little kid, like a little kid, like a baby, it's kind of odd, you know? And that's all you need to do to, like, stop the curse of the puppet and to unpossess yourself, is to make her fall asleep. I mean, that's interesting. It really is. And here they explain that, like, Charlotte, when she died, before she got possessed, or before she possessed the puppet, she died and, like, still carried over her, like, angry emotions for the parents that didn't help the kid that was being abducted right in front of them. And it's crazy too, because, like, the parents that she tried to get to help her or to help the kid were all just like, no, go find your parents. But that's the problem. Henry is not around, so she has to do it herself. And all the other parents around just didn't bother at all, because this is 1982, and most of the parents just don't really give a shit. I guess that's the point I took away from it. But yeah, I liked a lot of the scenes with William Afton as well, like the flashback scene at the beginning where we get to see Charlotte's origin. He is a genuine, like, legit threat to the character, and he does end up being her undoing, which is crazy. Like, and that's another thing too. The kills in this movie are way more, like, in your face, but they still refuse to, like, show the good shit, you know? They're still keeping these movies, like, PG-13 and, like, only showing you, like, the pseudo aftermath, but it's a lot more straightforward, you know? So, like, there's a scene where she's being chased by William, and he, like, slashes at her. It cuts away and shows her, like, walking out onto the stage with the kid, and she's got, like, 3, like, stab wounds and cuts on her back, indicating that she's been stabbed. So I don't mind that kind of, like, horror, or, like, yeah, I don't mind that kind of, like, active violence, I guess, in movies, because it's like, in some ways it's a lot more effective. I think it can be, but and then when Toy Chica had her first kill, she, like, crushes a guy's head, but, like, you only see like her hands like this go, like, and that's all you get. I don't know how they managed to, like, keep, like, a horror movie style, like, kill, but still, like, get away with it being PG-13. That's kind of wild. But yeah, and again, I don't mind that kind of, like, violence in horror movies. I think it's a lot more, like, sincere than actual, like, bloodlusted, like, slasher, gory, you know, killing, like in Terrifier, that shit's insane. I have not watched anything past the first movie. I couldn't even finish the first movie of Terrifier, just because, like, what the fuck is wrong with those guys? What makes them think that that was such a good idea? Like, I know we technically had worse back then, with, like, Friday the 13th and, like, Nightmare on Elm Street, but it's just, like, there's just something so visceral about those movies. So it's just, like, I don't know, it's kind of a breath of fresh air in a way, too. Where it's like, you can still see the kills happening, it's just not as gruesome as some of these newer horror films, you know? Yeah, I really can't think much else of what I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I guess that's kind of it. Henry, even though he plays a big role, he stays back throughout most of it. Like, he doesn't even get involved with the conflict at the end. Though, if you do stick around towards the end of the movie, you get to hear a recording from Henry saying, like, oh, William Afton was my co-worker, and we were like, or like, he was my partner, and we're like, this bad shit's about to go down, and I need you to hear this, or some shit. And it's kind of funny though, because Henry was like, the way he was shown off in the film, it's kind of like they play him off as this sort of like conspiracy theorist in a way, where he's got all these like newspapers and photos and like random beer bottles across his house. Like, he looks kind of crazy, you know. So it's still a different depiction compared to his game and book counterpart, but even still, it's a lot more than what we got from the games, you know. Like, I feel like the most we got from Henry in the games was like that monologue he had in Pizza Sim, but that's about it, you know. I believe there's some more in The Mimic, but not much. But and it's weird too, cause like, I was really hoping this movie was gonna be something like where they show a lot more of like what they missed out on in the last movie, and to better integrate like some of the bigger like roles that are being played in the games. Like, I feel like Henry was supposed to be like way more of an involved in the plot, but like he's just not. Like, he's the reason like Charlie was all alone in the first place and had to deal with that mess herself in the beginning of the film, but that's all we get. And so he's still playing that role of like, oh, I'm trying to help, but I'm still staying back and like letting others do the job for me, you know? So it's definitely not something he's gotten over. But yeah, there just seems like a lot of like, we're getting a lot but also not enough, you know? It's like they're withholding a lot of information from us. That just makes everything going on feel like it doesn't make much sense, you know? But again, I really like the film. I really do. I believe it is up there in my top 5 because of how ambitious it is. And of course, like, all the great CGI and the great, like, practical effects. Because believe it or not, there is CGI in this movie. Me and my friends pointed it out multiple times. There were multiple points where I was like, there's definitely some CGI going on. Like, where the first movie was like, it tried to stay away from that most of the time. This one definitely had it. And you could tell. Though, would I say it's more enjoyable than the first movie? I think it has its own specialties. Like, I think the scares are a lot more effective. I think a lot of the characters are very fascinating. Like Michael Afton being a separate character from Mike Schmidt was a pretty bold move, but at the same time, I don't know why that was made a thing. And if it really was, why wasn't it that like, he was the good guy and like he wanted to free the spirits of the animatronics, specifically from Sister Location, but still. Like, I just don't get, like you had a lot to work with. I just don't know how well that was implemented into the movie, you know? Like, having Michael Afton in the film franchise, That's huge. I was so shocked to see him in the movie because, for one, it made no sense. Like, okay, when there was like this group of paranormal investigators that like came to the old location, and they were like, some guy named Mike like tipped us off and is gonna be like doing this like little tour with us, only for it to turn out it's not the Mike that we know, it's somebody else. And that's when the gears started to really turn in my head, because I was like, well, who the hell is this guy? Because that's not Mike, that's somebody else. It was either going to be a completely new character, which I knew right off the bat it wasn't, but like, what sense does it make to introduce two Mikes and have them be both completely different characters, right? Because it's just like, oh my god, I don't get it. It's insane. I think it could have been done a lot more interestingly. Like, having Michael Afton in your movie should have been a way bigger deal, and something that should have been like delved into way better and way deeper, but it just hasn't gone that way, at least not yet. And then he gets bitch slapped by Jeremiah at the end. Again, who are you? I do believe the first one still like holds stronger compared to this one. And plus, I just know, like, for the people that didn't like the first movie or weren't that into it, they're definitely not gonna like this one. I don't think there's any convincing them to like try to give it a chance, because I don't know, that shit's not gonna work out. But yeah, trying to think what else. And again, this is also like an unscripted show as well. Like, I want to try to like be better at talking like in front of a camera, so I'm hoping this would also improve that. Yeah, if you guys like this video, and you want to see more like it, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe if you do. Again, this is just more like a laid back sort of video, like one that can be done on a whim just for fun. You get to see my desk at a different angle, which I am going to switch around my desk at some point so that it's actually like facing away from the wall and not just like that, where I can have more room to actually move around. I don't even know what I dropped. So yeah, if you guys like the video, I would appreciate a like, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts of the movie in the comments below. And also what you think I can do to like improve this experience. And also, we got teased the Springtrap in one of the post-credit scenes as well. So you bet your sweet Bippy that I'm excited for the third movie now. Like, I don't have a bias at all.